Welcome to INN CEO Talks. Joining me once again is Brent Nykoliation, the Executive Vice President at NextSource Materials. NextSource trades on the TSX under the symbol NEXT and on the OTCQB under the symbol NSRCF. NextSource Materials is a Canadian battery material company that has a world-class graphite project that is fully funded, and it will be commissioned in April of 2022. And the group that is funding the project is Vision Blue Resources, which is a significant company run by mining legend Sir Mick Davis. The Molo Graphite project in Madagascar is a feasibility stage and fully permitted flake graphite project that ranks as one of the largest known and highest quality deposits in the world. In April, the company announced that it had partnered with the Tesla battery supply chain to construct and operate a value-added battery anode facility to produce severinized and purified graphite, which is required in lithium-ion batteries for electric and hybrid vehicles. The company has since announced an offtake agreement with thyssenkrupp Materials in Germany for a long-term commercial agreement to sell NextSource's SuperFlake graphite products. Brent, as always, you've been busy, and you've been busy working with some very major suppliers, Tesla battery chain and thyssenkrupp, which virtually everybody knows, to ensure that you are appropriately positioned to meet the needs for graphite. Tell us about your latest deal and what it means to NextSource.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart. Nice to be here. And yes, we have been busy. I mean, our latest news, as you mentioned, has been the announcement of our offtake with thyssenkrupp out of Germany. It's one of the world's largest steel and materials trading companies. This was a process that took over 5 to 6 years for us to actually establish, and it has turned now into one of our largest customers now, who will be buying for phase one significant quantities. So the contract itself is for 35,000 tons of flake graphite, and our phase one right now, we're not able to supply all of that because we also have, as we talked about last time, is an offtake with our other Japanese offtake partner who will be supplying the Tesla supply chain. So we're very proud that we have secured this offtake with thyssenkrupp, and many people might recognize the name or certainly the logo, but I mean, you've probably ridden their escalators and their elevators. That's what they're known for, but they're one of the largest graphite traders in the world and one of the largest steel producers and materials traders in the Western Hemisphere. So this is a very significant accomplishment for NextSource, and it is great news for us because it shows, again, validation of our product, and it's a major buyer for our product.
Well, let's talk also about the value and the need for graphite in this whole EV space. A lot of people think lithium-ion batteries, but they don't recognize that without the graphite, there's going to be some real challenges.
Yeah, so graphite is certainly getting its day now. So a lot of people always talk about lithium-ion batteries and fail to realize that graphite is by far the largest raw material in a lithium-ion battery. It's on the anode side, which is the negative side of the battery. And a typical EV will take hundreds of pounds of flake graphite for that battery. So the excitement around electric vehicles has been on the news that all these car companies, the OEMs, have been investing heavily into battery technology, battery manufacturing. And what that's done now is they have to start looking upstream to say, where are these materials coming from? And graphite is particularly interesting because China controls most of the graphite in the world in terms of its deposits. So 60% of the graphite deposits are in China, but 100% of the battery-grade graphite is processed in China for these lithium-ion batteries. And this is now our latest news with the collaboration with the Tesla supply chain is we have been partnered with the particular partners that produce the graphite for the Tesla supply chain, and they want to build a facility outside of China. And this will be one of the largest facilities outside of China that will be producing a battery-grade graphite that will go into very notable electric vehicle companies. So not just Tesla, they actually supply many OEMs, particularly the major Japanese ones. So Honda, Subaru, Nissan, etc., are all supplied by the partners that we've aligned ourselves with. So in phase one, we have a perfect, I guess, bifurcation of offtake partners. We have a major German trading company that does the refractory side, which by far still is the number one consumption for graphite today. But the battery side, we have a very strong relationship now with a notable Japanese. But what's even more important is we have the IP. We have the actual IP. They're bringing us the development, processing know-how for major car companies will be introduced into our facility.
Well, let's also include in this mix the new battery facility, production facilities that are coming online in Europe. You know, Volkswagen has just announced that they are building out, I believe, 6 battery manufacturing facilities. And BMW, Mercedes, they're all moving in that direction. And as you pointed out, with the majority of the world's supply coming out of China, Europe, North America, and Japanese and other markets want to make sure that they have a guaranteed supply. So this puts you in a very unique position.
Yes, and you're absolutely correct. There's, I believe, and again, Benchmark Minerals Intelligence is one of the companies out there that people can reference, but there's over 220 mega factories being built or in the pipeline currently as we speak. And most of those are being built in China, and a lot of them are being built in Europe, and a few of them in the United States. But it's the actual raw materials that have to feed these mega factories that makes things very interesting. And that's why you're starting to see OEMs, the car companies and manufacturers, they're starting to say, okay, great, we're building these facilities, but where are our materials going to come from for these batteries? And again, graphite and all the cathode materials, the lithium, the cobalt, the manganese, the nickel, etc. But really, everybody is talking now about the negative side of the battery, which is the graphite side. And that's a very important part, because no matter what the cathode is, no matter what the chemistry is, whether there's cobalt in the battery or no cobalt in the battery, there's always graphite in the battery.
So let's talk about where your graphite is coming from. It's coming from the Molo project in Madagascar. Why is that important and significant when we look at the geopolitical forces that are at work and the market demands that are growing in all the markets that we've just talked about?
Yeah, so what's important is we have a deposit that is outside of China. So there's now a source and an option of high quality flake graphite from our project that we can have buyers can actually source, that they don't have to go to China to get. There's other regions. Canada has a mine that's in Quebec. It's run by Imris. There's Brazil, there's Russia, there's Mexico. So there's regions you can buy graphite from, but Madagascar has been quite special. It's been producing graphite for over 100 years. It's always been regarded to have one of the highest quality graphites in the world. It's known for its large flake, and it's a coveted product. And our deposit is one of the largest deposits discovered in the world. It's a brand new deposit, and we are bringing that online in April. So we will be the next graphite project globally outside of China that will be in production. And again, there has not been a new graphite project built outside of China, with the exception of one that's in Mozambique in the last 30 years. So,
yeah. So I find it interesting, because I mentioned this in our last interview, that you're one of the great unsung stories in this entire space, and you still are kind of flying a little bit under the radar. People aren't fully aware of you, but I know that Cormark Securities just initiated formal coverage of your stock and have recommended it as a buy at a target price of $5.30. And I see your stock, which I checked just before we came online, is considerably below that at the moment. So, of course, this states that NextSource is undervalued, and probably just because the market is unaware of what a great story you are.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things that we've always been known as a technical company, so we're not a promotional company. We are the only graphite project on the TSX, the main board. So we are going to be elevating ourselves as well into a larger board in the United States. So we're looking at moving and elevating ourselves because now that we are certainly moving to production, that is the plan. But yeah, it's great that Cormark Securities has recognized us. I mean, they are one of the largest, I think the leading mid-tier investment bank in Canada, but they also have a very established, and they're experts in the battery materials space. So they have an excellent analyst, and it's nice to be validated by a company such as Cormark to know that we are being seen as a quality asset and an undervalued asset in their eyes. This also, Stuart, gives investors an excellent opportunity to look at third-party independent due diligence on a project such as ourselves. So, as I've always said before, the graphite space is a very difficult space to understand. It's an opaque market, and there's lots of companies out there that are saying all kinds of things. So the investors have to do their homework, and this is a great resource for them to go and access that Cormark Securities research and read up on companies such as ourselves and get an independent view.
Well, I'd encourage investors to also go to your website, because once you go there, you see that it's not just graphite that you're that you're focused on, even though it may be the what you're concentrating on right now. You have access to other important materials like vanadium, as we touched on in our last conversation, and other projects that are in development. So this puts NextSource in line to continue to develop in this marketplace that is becoming increasingly important as we move to a lower carbon transportation economy.
Yes. So we started off with the vanadium discovery, and then we discovered the graphite second. The graphite was actually fast-tracked because of the obvious speed to market, the requirements for the battery side. But the vanadium is incredibly important. It's strategic for us. And vanadium is also getting a lot of attention lately because of its role in vanadium redox batteries. So vanadium, much like graphite, has a very strong traditional market. It's used as a strengthener for steel. But the vanadium battery itself is one of the leading technologies for large-scale energy storage. So these are batteries that are larger than cars and are powering factories, subdivisions. They're used for load leveling, peak leveling, etc. And the vanadium redox battery, the type of vanadium that we have, which is only 11 kilometers and is a discrete separate deposit, but within range of our Molo graphite project, it is a sedimentary hosted deposit. So it's the type of vanadium that's actually ideal for the electrolyte of the redox batteries. And one of the things that investors don't realize, that the largest raw materials in a vanadium redox battery, obviously vanadium, but flake graphite is the second largest material in that battery. And here, our deposit, we have serendipitously two deposits side by side that happen to be the largest raw material inputs into a redox battery. And the lithium-ion battery side, we have the graphite. So we are well positioned for the energy storage revolution as we move into the decarbonization of the planet. Energy storage will be a very, very important aspect. And again, redox batteries are one technology, but a leading technology in that energy capture.
You're absolutely right. Having those large storage batteries are going to be fundamentally important as we move to move away from fossil fuel electrical generation, and we need to store that energy so that it's available for use on demand. So it is going to be a very, very important part of energy supply moving forward around the world, and so you're in a very unique position. I still maintain, your story is so unique, and yet it's, hasn't been heard enough right now. But let's continue to work to get the message out that you are sitting on a very, very exciting couple of projects that are going to play an important role as we move forward into the future.
We are working on that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I'd like investors to realize is that we are a fully funded project. Not only is our phase one Molo Madagascar mine funded, but also our value-added phase one facility, which will be making a battery-grade graphite, that is fully funded. We are also fast-tracking the studies to quickly expand. So one of the things that we're doing right now is, with our discussions with other major potential offtake partners, and those are actually both on the refractory and the consumer electronics side, but obviously the OEM, the automobile company side, we have to expand very quickly in order to meet the demands that we're hearing that they will need in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. And again, as I mentioned, with all these mega factories being built, the quantities and the demand for the raw materials, they are staggering. The number of types of deposits that will have to come online, you'll need several Molo deposits to meet this demand. What is important is speed to market, and it's able to have a product that can get out there and be able to supply and meet the criteria of these companies who are looking for graphite. Not every company is going to meet those hurdle rates, and we're very proud that our material has been thoroughly tested. And again, the validation is with our offtake partners. We've landed thyssenkrupp, one of the world's largest conglomerates in Germany, but also the Japanese side in the Tesla supply chain. Again, these were 5 to 6 year vetting processes that we went through. That is a very long period, but that is the type of time it takes in order to land these type of offtake partners.
Well, it's an exciting time ahead for you, and I'm hoping that we'll be hearing even more news in the near future. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Stuart, and I look forward to coming back and updating on our next set of milestones.
Well, that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.